Gordon Getty became the richest man in America almost by default after a series of what might be called family mishaps. The Getty family tree has always been complicated because J. Paul Getty had 5 sons by 4 of his 5 wives. But some people also believe the Getty family tree to be cursed. The oldest Getty son, George, was destined to take over the family business but died of an overdose of drugs and alcohol. Ronald was for all practical purposes disinherited by his father. J. Paul Getty Jr.'s second wife died of a heroin overdose. He is a recluse living in London. It was J. Paul Getty Jr.'s son who made international headlines when he was kidnapped and held for ransom while his captors cut off his ear. Today, at 26, he is blind and paralyzed from a stroke, allegedly the result of alcohol abuse. The youngest would-be Getty heir, Timmy, died of a brain tumor at the age of 12. So Gordon was the only Getty who remained unscathed, and thus it was Gordon who was left to head the Getty Trust.
Did you love your father?
Yeah, sure. He was the most unforgettable character I ever met. A very formidable character because he looked something like a lion, and that made him formidable. His deep, rumbling voice made him formidable. But in many ways, he was a first-rate, although Victorian father.
How often did you see him?
Well, even though he lived in Los Angeles until the beginning of World War II, we probably saw him only 3 or 4 times a year. And then when he lived in Tulsa, I would say we saw him rather less than that, maybe once a year.
You went away to military school, though, when you were 5 years old.
Was it about 5? Yes, something like that.
I mean, as I talk to you, it sounds to me like the loneliest life for a little boy. You saw father once a year. You were away at military school when you were 5. It sounds so sad.
Oh, I didn't think of it as
I'm
sad.
sure you did.
Going off to military school wasn't like going off to war.
At 5?
Well, we're still home for weekends.
Mr. Getty, there are so many stories about your father, some of them quite outrageous. If we go through, can you tell me true or false?
I'll try.
Okay. Is it true that your father charged you $7 a night when you came to stay with him?
I think he may have. This would go back to a long time ago.
Is it true that he had a pay telephone in his house and charged people to make phone calls?
It is true.
Is it true that he once waited outside of a restaurant until, I think, 10 o'clock when the prices changed so that he could get in and eat for less?
I don't know that, but it sounds right.
Did your father ever discuss wealth with you?
In general, I'd say no. I'd say no. The day-to-day living is the same for my father as for the rest of us. You might say that it's the same problems we face with an extra set of zeros at the end. It's the same life with more zeros.